Android TV. So how did you come across these 1968 Buckley Vidal debate, the footage? And
there was a bootleg DVD that was circulating, and a friend of mine had it and shared it with me, and I shared it with Morgan, and we saw the life we're living, the culture wars we live in, expressed by these two men 4 decades ago.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and when you say bootlegged, can you kind of, for our viewers, explain what that sort of means?
So, there's a complicated set of circumstances, but a cousin of Gore Vidal's, had managed to get ABC to give Gore a copy on VHS of some of these debates, and copies were made of that tape, and then eventually a DVD was made of the VHS, and then that found its way to a friend who's a professor. So it took many years for us to get it, and it was
2010.
2010. So 5 years ago, we saw the tape, and we instantly were transfixed by it and said, "This, not only is it totally funny and smart and interesting, but it says a whole lot of stuff about us today. It says a lot of stuff about media and TV and intellectualism and attention span, and then we just had to go make the film."
Well, so that kind of asks me, like, what do you think the limitations are now compared to what Buckley and Vidal had when they were doing debates, as to what someone might have on TV today? I mean, do you think they had limitations, or they had more freedom, or do you think today?
Just a lot of differences. I mean, on the one hand, they were going for 15 minutes uninterrupted each night. This was broadcast during the Republican and Democratic conventions. So there was a lot of time to develop ideas and play them out. And at the same time, they each brought so much to the material, and they were unafraid to share that. A command of history, philosophy, language, politics. They all this is at their command, and they toss it out, and now you hear people sort of apologize for using a multisyllabic word.
Mm-hmm. So, and today, do you think, I mean, I sort of have my opinion, but I'm more interested in yours. Do you think today these things are more scripted than they were then? Like, they were just more able to say what they wanted to with more, they sort of had more leverage maybe to have to say, or?
Well, I think they were actually brought on to express their opinions. And the amazing thing about Vidal and Buckley, both of them, even though one was liberal and one was Democratic, even though one was liberal and one was conservative, they were not Republican and Democrat. You know, that they were original thinkers in every which way, and unpredictable thinkers. You know, they thought for themselves. And now, when you watch TV, you get the sense that everybody's shilling for somebody. Everybody's speaking. You know, every pundit is answering to somebody, some think tank or lobby or university career, or whatever it is. They have to. You know what they're going to say before they say it.
So it's kind of more honest then than it is now in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. And I thought the film, you did a very good job of balancing both gentlemen, so that it didn't make the viewer seem biased toward one or the other. What were the difficulties of doing that?
It actually was surprisingly not that difficult, you know. I mean, it was our intention to not take a side, because we didn't want this to be about one side defeating the other. We wanted this not to be about the argument, but about how we argue. So it's things, you know, you had these two guys who were equally matched, having this debate where the stakes were the future of the nation. You know, everything was at risk, and they had everything at their fingertips. Mm-hmm. Did you find it difficult to balance?
I mean, we worked on it, you know, and I mean, one measure I think that we maybe got it right was that people who are conservative who see the film say, "Oh, you know, you really favored Buckley," and people who are liberal say, "You really favored Vidal." So people bring their own baggage to watching it. So it's interesting for us to see that, and if we get that from both sides, then we feel like we probably got it about right.
And at the same time, people feel sympathetic for the opposing side, you know, because there's sadness in both men that lingers. Mm-hmm. And the fact that people wind up with this emotional investment in both characters is, I think, surprising to them.
Yeah, it was surprising to me. It really was. I thought that was really very interesting, and that made me want to know more a little bit about
Good.
each of the
Great.
characters, you know, so maybe you guys will go further at some point in time.
I mean, they're such complex characters, and you could do a mini-series on either of them. And we had to keep reminding ourselves when we were making the film that we weren't making a biography of this man or that man, but we were really making a biography of this relationship between the two men. And it was just those bits of their lives that intersected that we had to keep laser focus on.
So it's interesting that this film is coming out for the public to see during an election cycle. How does that make you feel, or was that on purpose, or it just happened to be the timing?
We thought it was going to be out for the 2012 election. Because we saw the footage in 2010.
Okay.
But that's documentary filmmaking.
Yes, and it's certainly a good thing. I mean, you know, it's very appropriate that it comes out at an election season. So the fact that it took a long time to raise the money, while discouraging and frustrating in process, ends up with a beneficial result.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome, you know. And I know CNN's done the 60s and the 70s, and this, to me, this film just fits right in there with all of that. And so where will our viewers be able to see it? That's a big question. I want all of our viewers to know where to see this film.
So opening in New York and LA on July 31st, and then opening up around the country throughout August and into September. And you know, it'll be getting out there further. I'm sure it'll end up on DVD and Netflix and all those other things too.
Well, the best of enemies. It's awesome.
And finally, it'll be on
PBS.
In September of 2016. It airs on
Just before
PBS.
the election.
Oh,
Yes.
that'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thanks for
thank
being
you.
with Android
Thank
TV
you.
today.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Can I have a picture with you? If
Sure.
somebody would mind
Thank you.
popping
So
one.
as I finish